I can see her and me messing with her this morning because that's what I do. I mess with people. Everybody know that I do that and I do it well. And when I do that, I say that's in my DNA. I could do that. Good,
Yes, you do.
good morning, Martha. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you? Happy Friday.
A happy Friday to you too. And we were talking the other day, and you said something to me that I didn't know that you could
Okay.
do marriages.
Officiate weddings, yes.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, really? What are you? Are you an undercover preacher or what?"
No, actually, I added that component in 2018 when when I put up my practice because I wanted to because I coach marriages. I coach couples, rather. I coach couples, I coach relationships. So I figured why not officiate the wedding if they needed me to, you know. So I added that component.
So let me ask you something, and don't get mad at me. When you officiate a wedding, you find out 2 years down the road you have to coach them now.
You know what? Actually, no. So far, so good. So far, so good. Because I use a program called Prepare and Enrich.
Okay.
It's 98% effective when it comes to relationships. What it does is the couples, what they do is they take this assessment. They cannot take it together. The results come to me. They get their results. I get my results. My results tells me what areas to focus on. Where if because couples don't talk about certain things. Sometimes it's some things you don't think about, like finances. That's a big, huge um area it's the elephant in the room don't nobody want to talk about.
It-
So if they
yeah, it's
if they
also
have to deal with
yeah,
finances,
it's a red flag too if they don't want to talk about it.
but some people don't, or they graze over it, right?
Yes.
And also couples sometimes never talk about how do we deal with blended family? How do we deal with um how many kids I want?
You know what? You said something right there. We talked about that earlier, and I went somewhere and was reading something after me and Martha talk every once in a while off air, and that's how we get the good ideas coming up. She brought that up, and I went to go look it up, and it was always the man. It was like 67% men wanted three or more kids, and his soon-to-be wife didn't want none. And, and,
wow.
and I'm trying to figure, okay, did y'all talk about this before y'all walk down the aisle? Because that's one of the main things you want to talk. How many kids you want? The jobs that you have. Are you steady? Stable in your jobs? Your credit rating. All this come into being when you bring two people together. And like you said, people don't think about that. I remember when I met my wife, I told her everything. Whatever it was in my past, I told her everything because I didn't want to hear that from somebody else. I told her whatever it was that I thought she felt to know, which was everything.
Wow.
I even
And you don't get that all the time.
and I was going to tell her, well, I was going to tell you the time when I came out the birth canal, but you wouldn't believe me.
I would question that too, but
but but but what I'm getting at is you don't indulge everything to everybody, to anybody until you know that's a person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Because I dated this one girl, oh God, about 20 years ago or more. And she had the audacity say, if we go any further in this relationship, we only been on one date. I need your social security number so I can run a background check. I said, well, give me yours. She said, I can't give you mine. I said, I ain't giving you mine either.
that's pretty bold on the first date.
I know.
After the first date, that's pretty bold.
And
Like you don't get that kind of information
that
until
that was
later because you
that
might want
was
to steal my identity.
yeah.
That's a red flag.
And that was the only date.
I sure hope so.
But anyway, I didn't want to cut you off. I just want to
But
say that
yeah.
I looked at some things and I read up on that, and it was amazing. But
Yeah, I find that interesting that men want more children. Oh, because it could be because I find that some men want to build a legacy for their children, and they think about I need, in order to build a legacy, you need children. So I think that's what probably the background of that is, because I'm shocked to find that some women don't, could understand nowadays because women are so much more like independent,
yeah.
don't want the responsibility, want a career versus.
Well, the main reason for that, they did give a description. The reason why some women they didn't want to have a kid to raise them in the environment that we have right now.
Oh yeah, that could be. That's a big, big, huge component to that
Yeah.
because yeah, some people don't want to. It's rough out here. Um, it's
Yes.
rough, to raise children. It is kind of, it can be kind of discouraging. But yeah, so I use that program, and that program is absolutely amazing. I learned it in my master's when I was getting my master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and ended up being a certified facilitator. I'm the facilitator, but I'm in a room with people, and I'm actually facilitating a conversation that, because you have some, family dynamics is huge too. Um, how do you view your family? Are you enmeshed? Are you so enmeshed to the point that it may bring um, some type of turbulence in a relationship? Um, Sometimes it's the mother don't want to let go of the son, um, and she may be all in their marriage, all in their relationship.
Yeah.
Um, when you when your son or daughter gets married, as a parent, we have to step in and allow them to grow in their marriage, and they have to actually. There's a boundary you have to have, especially when it comes to a mother and a son relationship. A mother has to kind of grieve that relationship the way it was and create a new one where he is in the current situation of his marriage.
You know,
Because you ever say Everybody Loves Raymond?
yeah.
That's a perfect example.
I read something the other day. I'm always reading. I'm reading 24 hours a day, something catch my attention. But this couple just got married, just like you said, and his mom was nosy, was always in their business, always in their house, because he gave her the key to the house, just in case something happens. But she took that to another step further. She was going through her trash, she was being nosy, and the wife was telling him that your mom is constantly coming over, going through our things. No, my mom won't do that. So she set the mom up. It kind of sort of backfired on her, but she wasn't pregnant, but got a pregnancy test as positive and put it in the trash can in the bathroom. The mama announced to the whole family that she was pregnant, and she was,
That's hilarious.
and she wasn't. So she
That's
told her,
hilarious.
so she told her husband, "I'm really not pregnant. I just want you to see how your mama go through our things." He turned it on her. How could you do something like that to her and to me? Turn it completely around,
Wow.
like didn't even see the part where she was kind of, yeah, that was a little drastic. It was, but
That's drastic.
she proved her point. But then at the end, she got burned for doing that. So as far as I know, they still together. It didn't go into more details what was going on, but
They got to be a story to laugh at later.
when she really do get pregnant.
Right.
Because what was happening, family members were calling her, congratulating her.
That's hilarious.
A mother-in-law put her business all out there. So,
You
but
have to be careful with these relationships when it comes to creating the boundaries, and it's
yeah,
not easy. You have to learn because you ain't like pretty much taught. But I had to learn I have daughter-in-laws, and I have to be careful even when they conversating around me. I have to be careful not to step in and, and hijack the conversation. It's
but
even though you like. You know, I have to be careful with that. I have to be careful with how to deal with holidays. It's a lot of things. I don't overthink it, but I know that his wife, that's a man leaves his father and his mother and father and cleave to his wife. That's the biblical standard. That's the boundary for marriage. And so his wife is his number one priority. Um, they get married. I gained a daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Um, I gained another relationship to navigate through, and I have to be mindful. She's not in competition with me. I'm no longer in the picture as the woman of his life. I am his mother. And now but I'm his mother as while he's an adult. So that relationship looked very different.
Yeah. So is it
you know.
harder? Is it harder for a woman to let go or a man to let go? Because there are daddy girls out there.
Yeah, with from experience, it's it's hard for the mother to let go the son, but I think it's harder for the daughter to let go the
Okay.
that makes sense. So I give you a perfect example when I first got married, my daddy was like he was my king. He was it. He was number one. When I got married, it was hard for me to make that shift that my husband is now the king of my life. I was still going to daddy for things I should have been going to my husband for. And my husband said, wait a minute, what do you have me for if you're gonna go to your dad? But I didn't know how to make that shift. But when you have the mother, it's hard for her to let go her son. You like, okay, he's your son. That don't mean you take over. That
Yeah.
means you step back and you allow him to be the man over his wife. That's a shift that you have to make.
Because as being a parent, you raise them, you plant that seed, and all you can do is pray that they will become the person that you envision them to be. But what I mean by planting the seed is um they watch how you brought them up. They see all the trials and tribulations that you go through. And you're hoping that they will look at that. Like me, for instance, I knew what my parents were saying. I knew everything they were saying, but at that time I refused to listen. But
Oh
then
yeah, I think all of us
Yeah,
did.
but then when I became a father and then a single parent, I understood what they were talking about. So all of a sudden, I'm taking a role on the things they instilled in me, and I figured it out what was going on, and I already knew it, but I wasn't ready. But
Right,
when that time came, you had to be ready. You had to be ready because I wasn't going to be the type of father that send my kids off to grandma to raise. That's my
right.
responsibility. That's what I'm going to do, and that's what I did. And so that's what we got to look out for with that right there. If your parents instilled all that in you, and because right now my grandson, I say something, he said, "That's the same thing my dad said." I say, "Where do you think he got it from?" you know, because now he's going to use that when he get in a relationship and get married. The same thing.
Right.
It's almost like it's passed down to generation to generation.
That's true. That
So,
is so true.
so with your program, I got some questions for you, girl.
Okay, well let's hear it.
with, with the questions, I mean, the things that you do right now in relationship, have you ran across no hope?
Yes.
Have you ran across?
Usually, yeah.
Is
Oh
it
yeah, absolutely.
is it far gone before they get there? And you know it, or as you talking to them, oh, this ain't going to work. But I know you don't tell them, you know what? Y'all need to split right now. It's not going to work. I know you do it in a subtle way.
No, I
Uh,
would never tell no one that it wouldn't work. Actually, I would never tell nobody. I have to see, actually, I would let them know if the only way it won't work a relationship is if there's abuse, physical abuse.
okay.
That's that's you the person has to get help before that can work, because that's never gonna work. Any type of substance abuse, the person has to get the help, or else it'll wear you out. Then you have the if you in a real if there's infidelity, that's not gonna work. That's the only time I may say, no, I can't do this if you're still in a relationship with this person, because it's counterproductive, right? So, but I would never, but I usually when people come to get relationship help, they often will always feel hopeless, because it's their experience in this and they feel like I'm done. But it may not be there's a missing component that can make that relationship flourish. And it could be, and that's when you assess it and go back to the basics and say, hey, let's get down to the root cause.
Yeah.
It could be communication. Most of the time, I'm gonna be honest, it's always the communication, because you come from two different sides, and now you coming together. You have your lenses, they have theirs. You cross paths with a message, and you miss it. They both miss it, and it can look so simple, but it's really complicated because we grew up different. And so I'm hearing you, but I'm not. So sometimes you don't get the confirmation that you need to get the message given to you the proper way,
You
because
know,
you're seeing it through your lenses.
I'm glad you said that, because my wife laughs at me every time when I say, when the grandkids are okay, let's put on your night clothes. Night clothes? Who says night clothes? It's pajamas, and start laughing. And then one time, we were somewhere up north, and it was a snow plowing the road, and she said, look, they're grading the road. I said, grading the road? No, it's snow plow. Well, down once I moved here to Texas and I see what they're talking about, they have graders that go over dirt roads to grade the road, but it looks like our snow plow up north. So like you said, when you live in two different areas, that's what happens. And it does. So she's still laughing. I say night clothes. That's what I say. I don't think no was wrong about that. That's what you're laughing at. You said night clothes. Okay. What do you say? Pajamas, same thing.
Right.
Like up north, we call them pops. Give me a pop. Down here, soda.
Right. Soda. Yeah, totally
Yeah.
different.
I said somebody, what's a soda water? And the guy said, yo, give me a soda water. He brings him a root beer. I said, in the soda water, a grape soda, whatever soda, they just say soda water. And like the person know, and this they do know what type of soda water they drink. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, it gets mixed up.
yeah,
It really gets mixed, and you have to understand, what do you mean when you say,
yeah,
and because sometimes it's a total different way. And they say, well, I didn't mean it that way. You ever been in a conversation with somebody and you're like, oh my God, I was offended, but they really didn't mean to offend you. It's just the way they may raise their voice with passion.
there you
Um, and you taking it like, oh my God, they're yelling at me, or they trigger a childhood issue where you always got yelled at. These are the things that we don't, that in the relationship dynamic has to be dealt with when you're dealing with a relationship, and how they communicate. It Sometimes it's financial. Those things can be tweaked. Um, but when it comes, like I said, and for some things, it's just no, it's a waste of my time if you in a relationship with someone else.
yeah,
Infidelity, abuse, substance abuse, those type of things. You have to get you got to get other people involved in that help.
right. So let's move on and talk about blended families. That
That's
right
my
there.
favorite.
Yeah, blended families. You got both sides got kids already, and you got to bring them together. This is my opinion. So if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you would tell me. When you bring a blended family together, before you even utter the words, let's get married, you need to go out with that family and see how the other interact with each other and see what's going on. Um, because if they don't get along, to me, you bring chaos into a relationship, into a marriage. If they can't get along, what can you do for them to get along? I tell you, I see nightmare stories. I also see blended families that, oh, we're not brothers and sisters, and they get pregnant. And it's all type of things that go on with that. And my personal opinion is
Wow.
get to know each other first. This happened. Get to know each other first, the family, how y'all getting along, how everything getting along. I think the older they are, the worse it is bringing a blended family. If they're a teenager, I think that's a sign right there. Like, I don't know about it. But if they're younger, they learn how to grow together as brothers and sisters, even though they step brothers and sisters. So I'll let you take it from there.
I I love the blended family dynamic. I really thank God that I can speak about it because He blessed me to have one. I have a blended family and I absolutely love it. Um, it can be challenging in a lot of ways. So when you get in a relationship, the biggest the thing is you don't want to erase the past of the person you with. That family he created or she created is part of them. And I think when you get in a relationship, the person you're in a relationship sometimes want to kind of they want to they want to keep it separate and they don't want to or they want to get rid of it. Um, I don't want your past. I don't want to deal with your past. That's really not the way you approach blended families. That's why they call it a blended family. The two become one, right? That's what the Bible said. The two become one. When we get married, we become one. Everything that you came with, if I can't accept it, I shouldn't marry you. And so there's gonna be you're gonna have the daddy's mothers, the baby daddy and the baby mamas. They're part of that family. And so you want to respect, number one, you want to respect that the fact that that's his past. It's part of my husband's, like I have a blended family. I can only speak for myself. I'm v- I'm friendly with the very friendly and it's not phony with the mothers of my husband's children. I'm not trying to replace them. I'm just blending in honor of them. When I'm with your daughter, I'm I'm actually being with your daughter, but I'm not trying to be her mother, quote, take your place, but I am caring for her as if she's my daughter when she's with me, but not to replace you. But I can be with my um husband's mother, children's mothers, and sit and eat with them and enjoy them without even my husband being with me because we created that space together that I'm not trying to I create a boundary of like not trying to be that, trying to take the place. I think that's important not to try to take the place of the mother because it's a disrespect to the mother, or if it's the father, give the father the space to have that relationship with his son because most of the time it's problematic when it comes to the father a lot because they not in the house,
Yeah.
and so it can be problematic, but the goal has to be one thing: keeping the the parent that's not available all the time is to keep them in relation with the child. The goal is to keep that foundation in that relationship, not to come between that father and daughter or that father and son relationship. You don't want to come in between it. What you want to do is help. You want to be respectful and honor with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's jealousy involved. But and then also like if you in a relationship, like there's boundaries you have to keep. So my husband or I say myself, if my husband's, um, he may, his daughter's mother, if he goes to visit his daughter, he has to figure out how to navigate that relationship. Or if he go visit his sons, as long he can do whatever he wants to, as long as he's respectful. I shouldn't have to worry about, is he going to be with her.
Yeah.
But it's a boundary that he would, because he respect me, there's a boundary he's going to have with her in honor of me,
Hmm.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
But
it's really how you really have to have a confidence to navigate that.
you brought up something right there. Um, some people, men or women, could be vindictive, jealous, and insecure. Those three right there. And I always say, well, come into play with that in any relationship. To me, it's called trust.
Yeah.
You have to trust them on what they're doing, knowing that I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about it at all. And that is the easiest thing to say is trust, but the hardest thing for people to do.
It is. And you really have to think about, how do I want, if, how would I want to be treated if I was in this situation?
Yeah.
How would I want, if I was with, us, my son's father, I'm not gonna be, we're not gonna try to eat together. We're not gonna take pictures together. This is not why I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
here to support our son in whatever he's doing. I'm not here to be with you. If I'm here to be with you, then I need to have a discussion with my husband,
Yes.
because that's something that I'm dealing with. It has nothing to do with the other person.
Yeah.
So it's really, you always want to do things to blend the family, because at the end of the day, we're one big happy family. We're one big family. And that's what we do. If he need to go support his daughter to do something, I may not I may not be there, but he should be able to go. And
Yeah.
he has to, have to trust that he's gonna have to trust that he prove otherwise. But usually he do what he do, and that's it. I don't have those type of concerns. I really don't. And I
Yeah.
thank God for that. I thank God that he put us in a situation to create a space of safety for all of us.
And there's that
We
key.
all have that.
Yeah. The other key word is having faith.
Yes.
That goes a long way. To me, without faith and trust, you really don't have a relationship. If you don't do that, then why are you there? You playing.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
Why be in a relationship? Now you may have where they make mistakes, where we don't know how, because you don't come in knowing how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you may have a frazzled, um another person that's frazzled on the other end, where it could be the baby father or the baby mother that's like that's frustrated and now taking it out on me or him. But it's really, the question is, how am I navigating that relationship outside of being with my husband? For instance, if my son's father is upset with my husband and always giving him grief every time after years and years. The question is, how am I navigating that relationship? Because there's something, it, there's turbulence. He hasn't done anything. But the question is, what am I doing to exacerbate his feelings to make him want to go and have beef with him when he did nothing to him?
Yeah.
It's really, you have to really question what's really happening. And you also have to sit down and have the conversation. Like how and kind of sit back and watch what's happening in the dynamic when we together is what's really happening. We have to respect one another. That's the only thing that we owe each other is respect.
You
And
know,
that's what you want to do.
that remind me of is it's not marriage, but it would equate to this. When I was working supervisor for over what 30 something laundromats, I had attendants in each one of the laundromat, three in each one of them. And I used to sit back and watch them. The one in the evening time didn't like the one in the morning time. And I'm trying to figure out why. So one day I just started listening to them talking and stuff. And I said, well, how come you don't like this person in the evening time, in the morning time? Y'all never see each other. How are y'all mad at each other when you never seen each other before? Well, it's the way they do things around here. This done, this not done, this not done. So I had to break it down to them like this. I said, sometimes they're not able to do things. Sometimes it's a decision that I made. Like, for instance, the trash can for them to empty their trash at night is around the building and it's dark. I'll tell the ladies, do not take the trash out. I'll let the lady know in the morning, take trash out for you. Oh, I didn't know you said that. I thought maybe they left the garbage here. Well, if you read the email that I sent you, that's what I put in there. So I found out they wasn't reading the email. So what brings to your point is communication.
Yep, communication is big.
Yeah.
You just have to have that communication. And that's the thing. If you got a really, like my husband and I, we communicate about everything. Everything. I'm not saying that we perfect though, by no means. I mean, we communicate about stuff that most couples would never like want to talk about,
Yeah.
but we talk about it. And it's important because I want him to be authentic. I want him to be able to sit down with me and let's have a conversation, even if we have to have a heated fellowship.
I love that. A heated fellowship.
Let's do it. Let's do it because really at the end of the day, if you don't talk to me and you got to hold in all your emotions, you're going to talk to somebody.
And preferably talking to you instead of somebody else.
Exactly.
Because somebody else may
Because
take it different and may want something. I hear you talking.
because sometimes like if me and you had conflict, right? As friends, if me and you had conflict as friends, and I go to someone outside of it to tell them about it, it never relieved the anxiety I have with the conflict I have with you.
Yeah.
So I really need to have the conversation with you in order to relieve myself of the anxiety of this conflict.
But anybody know me, she'll tell you, I'll tell it straight up. I don't hide anything. Like, for instance, you talking about that. My wife always messed with me because I mess with the grandkids. They were sitting on the sofa one day and I walked by, I looked at I said, you know, I don't like none of y'all. And the other, I tell a story all the time. The other one said, I know, Grandpa, you love us. And I look at her and I said, that's debatable. Then the baby one said, what's debatable, Grandpa? And here come my wife around the corner. Will you leave them kids alone? I just love messing with people. You know, it's so much fun. But I hear you talking. The next question I got for you is multi-relation marriages. Uh, well,
Multi-relate.
well, not multi.
Explain that. Look, I'm like,
Not
no.
multi-language, but we're not over there in Utah. I'm sorry, but I'm talking about racial marriages, different
Oh, okay. Different
together.
races. Right.
Because
Okay.
yeah, because I see some cultures get together, and I tell you, it was a a nightmare because some of my family members, my brothers and sisters and uncles and cousins, are married to either Black, white, Hispanic, Jewish, Catholic, and all that. All that comes to the table. My mom used to say when she was living that we got the United Nations right here in our family. You know, she would say that. But there were some things that a couple of my family members didn't like some of the other ones and told them to their face, I don't like you because you're white. I don't like you because you're Jewish. And mom will always stop the conflict.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it uh ra racial marriages. I would say diverse marriages, they work, but you have to, like I said, you have to do the work. You have to do the communication. They work just as well as uh, a couple that get together with the same race.
yeah,
I don't really see a huge difference unless now when you have different, you do have prejudice um overtones and families.
yeah,
And but the thing is that you marrying who you want to marry, and you have to think you just have to have the conversation and communicate and learn how to navigate through the racial undertones that you may experience. But if you don't talk about it, that's when you get the conflict.
yeah. Or
If you don't talk about it, because if I was married and my husband was a different race and his parents didn't like me because I was African American, then me and him have to now talk about that. This can't be a conversation that can't be on the table. This have to be a conversation we talk about because we have to learn how to navigate through family functions. Are
yeah,
you gonna back me up? Because eventually people don't like what they like, but eventually they change. But if me and him are on the same side and we won when we walk in that atmosphere, what is she gonna? It's gonna mess the relationship up with her son. But if she don't really get to, if she don't want to continue to mess up her relationship with her son, so
yeah.
she don't have to like me, but she got to deal with me.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, because it's just gonna bring a wedge between them, not us. The
Exactly.
marriage will work. It's just the other part of the family how to deal with the fact that you know that person is there. But I think they I mean uh I have children that um have interracial marriages, and they
Yeah,
work they working really well.
yeah.
So that's not, I don't think it's a problem. You just have to have a conversation. I think actually you learn so much from each other, just that much more, because you come from such a different background.
Amen to that one. The reason why I'm saying that is a lot of people don't understand each other culture, or I'm gonna say it like this: we understand more of the other culture because they're all out there letting us know how we should live. But when it comes down to the Black culture, people don't really understand the culture. They assume all of us are the same. And it's
Right. And when they get to you and get to know, wow, that's so different, you
right
know.
because they look at the outside of what the media and everybody else is saying about us without really knowing us. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, you hit a nerve right there when you said that culture. Culture got a lot. You got to understand the culture of everybody, not just yourself.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I love it. I love learning different cultures.
Now,
It's the most beautiful thing in the world.
now, some of the food I tried, I won't try again a different culture.
Oh yeah, yeah, the food.
uh,
Yeah.
I was in Illinois one year. My brother took me to a White Sox game. Said, Ron, let's stop by here and let's get some African food. I said, what? African food? My nose is stumped up right away. So he said, try it. I said, no, let me pick out what I feel is gonna be right with me. So I picked out something, And that at that time, you could bring the food into the ballpark. So we sat down there and I took one bite. I said, oh, not bad. I ate the whole thing. It was not bad at all. So that was a culture shock for me, between hot dogs and French fries to eating rice. I don't know what type of meat it was. I don't care what type of meat it was. I don't want to know what type of meat it was. But it was tasty. It was tasty enough. When we left the ballpark, I bought something else to bring home with me, and it was good. So culture can teach you things, is what I'm trying to get at. It just don't
Oh, absolutely.
goes in, because we're always learning. What's the thing I always used to use? Years of wandering is years gathering experience. Even in marriages, you're always wandering and gathering experience in there of what can make your marriage better.
And I think you really rob yourself of a lot when you don't learn about other people and their culture. Even if it's the same race, there's a different culture sometimes in that.
Yeah.
A different way do a different way you do things, and I think you just have to really get into a person and find out who they are,
Yeah. That's
and and learn, what makes them different, because we all unique. We
right.
should be, who wants 25 Marthas walking around?
I do.
That wouldn't be right.
I can fuss at each one of them
But
at a time. You
but if you
number
have
25, stand somewhere.
but we all unique in our own way, and we
Yeah.
want to, and that's the beauty of relationships, is the uniqueness of it. I don't have to be like you in order for us to form a relationship.
That's a good point you brought up, because when I first met my wife, she didn't know the things that I could do. She didn't know. Um, she didn't know I was an electrician. She didn't know I knew things about AC, plumbing. I had a home improvement business. So when it came down to remodel the house, she was saying, we got to get this person. No, you don't. Because she didn't know what I could do. So I introduced her to my tools. And I commenced redoing the whole kitchen. I did the whole house, and she was amazed on the things. Like I told her everything about me, but I negated to tell her about I could do these other things. I just felt that whatever. So when I came down doing it, she said, "Oh wow, you could do this, do this, do this." She's bragging to her sister. I don't need to hire nobody to come do the house. I got somebody doing it for me. And I said, well, yeah, you're right. But I tell you what, my mom always told me one thing. If you do something for a family member, make sure you charge them. And you should have seen the look on her face when she said that. So I'm your wife. You're going to charge me. I said, yes, I am. You should be the one I charge the most. Oh, of course
You're
she
like,
said,
I gotta pay some way.
yeah, she said, put it on my tab.
I know, right? As long as I owe you, you'll never be broke.
Yeah. But that's part of communication that was surprising part of the communication with her, that I really didn't tell her what I did, but I told her everything else about my past and stuff. So the worst thing that can happen is they hear about your past from somebody else. And then they question you, why didn't you tell me this? I didn't think it was significant for me to tell you. But yes, it was, because it got up under that person. How did this person know and I don't know?
And that's why I like that assessment, because it gets all of that out. It's like, let's get the kids out and talk about all of this stuff on the table. Let's lay it out on the table before you walk down the aisle, so there's no surprises. And it's definitely important. And it's effective. It's truly effective. I love it. You can even use it if you have a couple that's deadlocked and they're not able to verbalize.
Mhm.
You can use it for a marriage that's not able to verbalize what's going on. You can use that assessment as well, where you can take some, backtrack what's really happening in the marriage. They have different parts to it where you can utilize it. Because assessments allow you to write down answers that the questions that they ask. That's
Mhm.
that you writing down and you being truthful, and so the results come out and you're able to have that conversation.
So having that I think we talked about this before. What about one of the partners that never want to listen to what the other one is saying? You have a conversation, you hear their side of the conversation, then it's your turn to talk. But every time you start talking, they interrupt you and interject their opinion when they don't know what you're getting ready to say. They assume what you're getting ready to say, and that person get frustrated and stop talking. Then they ask, "Why come I'm not talking to you? You don't listen."
Yeah, that happens a lot in when when couples come see you, they come in to see you because they having that kind of dynamic, and you have to actually come in and tear it down and rebuild it with the correct type of way of communicate. You got to teach them how to hear each other and listen to what the person is saying, because you're missing. Like I'm not. It makes no sense to argue with someone because the argument is never about the actual thing that's happening. It's best to calm down and say, what are you saying? If you're arguing with me, why would I waste my energy to argue back when we're not going to get anywhere? Let's wait till you calm down and let's have a conversation. Then we can have the goal is you want to get results. You can't get results if you you know
Yeah,
you constantly yelling and argue. You never get anywhere like that. But I need to hear you. I need to understand where you're coming from so we can resolve this. You want resolution. And if you ain't, you're not going to get it by arguing at all. You're just not going to get it that way.
I got another question for you. Have any ladies, when you have these assessments or when you sit down and talk to them, do they ever tell you, I had a list of the man that I wanted? He should have this, 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 and this. I had a friend of mine who had a list looking for a man. And I said, first of all, number one, you shouldn't be looking. He needs to find you. The second thing is, if you got a list, you have a better chance of winning the lottery. you know, that's why I told her. And she looked at me puzzled. I said, well, what makes you think a man don't have a list of what he wants? If you have on here, he's got to have this, this, and this, this, and this. And I looked at her dead in her eyes and said, then why does he need you if he got all that already?
You can use that context in a way where in the room when you sitting down coaching, you want to question what does that mean to them? Why would you want to go down the list and see if they, sometimes you can make a list based off of what dad wanted or mom wanted, but it ain't nothing. It can be nothing that you ever thought about wanting. You
yeah.
don't really know what you really don't know what you want. So it's really taking that list and taking a deep dive into it and question, what does this mean to you to have this? And it gets them to thinking like, I really it don't really matter, you know, and and you really want to know why do you want these things?
yeah.
So you can utilize that to the point that because everybody has what they want, but they don't know why they want it. If you know why you want it, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Let me throw something at you. All right. A young lady grows up without a father.
Mhm.
She finds a young man and she knows what type of man she wants and want to mold him into what she wants out of him. And they battle, and the guy refused to change his ways because she's got this idea of what a real man should be. And she's very unsuccessful in relationships, but yet she's go at it again. And she's not successful in a relationship because she's trying to make an image of somebody that she wants that she can't do.
I
How
would want to know where did she get the template? No, I would because if you didn't grow up with a father, it's understandable. But where did you get the template? And is it attainable in your situation?
yeah.
Because, you know, it. sometimes growing up with a father is still you have a template, but it's kind of shady too.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want one like that.
No, no, you really, I mean, because it's because you have like ideologies um that come into play when it comes to uh things that you hear from your parents. Sometimes you have cliches that don't line up with the word of God, um, or line up with your personal belief. And so you go out and try to find a man that don't line up with your personal beliefs that you thought you believed. So you really have to challenge you have to challenge the belief system because they don't align. And when they don't align, that's the problem.
It's like this a show on TV. My wife was watching it the other day, and it the title was "Who the Bleep Did I Marry?" and found out the guy was a axe murderer, or she going through a sixth marriage of dropping pills and killing off the husband to get the insurance policy and all that, which goes back when you said at the beginning, you have to communicate and know each other. So you shouldn't have to say, who the bleep did I marry? You probably knew what you was getting into when you married him or her, but you just refused to see it.
And sometimes people get married out of a need to fulfill their dysfunction. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
You get married out of a need or of something that you haven't even healed in, and that person got to deal with the train wreck behind it. Um, that's a whole different thing. Um, I wanted somebody to be like my dad, but my dad was abusive because that's the template you're using.
Yeah.
You kind of married to that dysfunction, so you really don't know what's true love is, or you don't know what it looked like. And so you have to, that's an area you have to, you got married, but when you heal, what's going to happen when you heal? That person doesn't serve a purpose.
Yeah.
It's like you got this codependent relationship you built. Just like when a man, you ever seen that movie, when a man loves a woman,
Yeah.
he he's an alcoholic and he's rescuing her all the time. That's the dynamic of their relationship. But when she get clean, he has no, what do I do now? He's like, what do I do now? I mean, he has that, he don't, in a marriage, that's when the turbulence began because now new roles have to take place. Because I'm no longer an alcoholic, so you can't rescue me. Now you're not the rescuer. So
Wow.
now we have to take on a whole different dynamic and it changes. And they want to bring the same dynamic into a new area.
I can see that. One change, the other one stays the same, and you get the clash going on.
Hmm.
And it could get volatile too.
Yes. And so you have to change with which when things change, you have to change with it. Just like COVID. COVID changed the world.
Oh, yes.
So we can't navigate the world the same as we used to. We have a new norm.
That's funny to say a new norm. What was the old norm?
We have a new way we have to navigate now.
Yeah, this is one of them right here. We had to go to Zoom.
Right,
That
exactly.
was another way, which eventually, next time when I have you on the show again, hopefully be in our building and I can see you face to face.
Praise God, you got your
Yeah,
building. I'm happy for you in that area.
now, we talked a while back and you had this thing. Let me see here without catching you off guard. Um,
Uh-oh.
the,
I'm
vi-
scared.
the vision board.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Did I catch you off guard?
No.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, New Year's Eve, my husband and I, we sat down and we figured out, okay, what do we want to do for our goals this year? And how do we walk through it? Um, And so we kind of put down like we use the method, SMART method, the SMART goal method. Um, and so we sat down and we wrote out uh, on paper what is it that we want to do, because we, and then we prayed about it because the oneness, and then we mapped it out with pictures and took a board and mapped it out with pictures so we can visually look at it and say and walk through it slowly. Like, is it attainable? What would be the roadblocks that come into play if this happened, we do this. If that happened, we do this. And the scripture always ask the Lord for guidance. The scripture He gave me was, we may make the plans, but He ordered the steps. So that was the scripture we put on our board, because that gives us the understanding that although we got these plans and we put them on a board, we got to understand that He's still in charge.
Yeah.
He still hold the ball is in His court, and it allow flexibility, but some things can happen that's beyond your control. And so you got to know when to pivot and how to deal with it when it happens. And that's what we did as a couple. You could do that as personal goals. It's not that, it's really to see if these goals are attainable. Sometimes we want to go and we're not specific. But smart is one, the S stand for, is it specific? Be specific. So if I got a goal to lose weight, I could say I want to lose weight, but that's not specific enough. I need to say I want to lose 15 pounds, but I also need to know when is it gonna happen? So the M is measurable. Is it measurable? How am I gonna measure my progress? Because if I have nothing to measure, the goal is gonna go down the drain.
Yeah.
And then, is it attainable? Is it something I could do in this season? What are the stresses in my life that can stop me from getting there? What type of roadblocks do I have in the way that I need to move out the way? How do I need to shift my life to get to this point? Um, is it the R? Is it I think it's realistic? Is it a realistic goal? Is it reliable? And then you got, is it time? Is it time based? Is it in the right time? Um, if I want to say I want to save $1,000, but I don't have a job, I'm not going to make it because I don't have no resources. So
Right.
the timing is not there. If you use that acronym, it really helps with goal setting, because it really helps you see the reality of the goal you're trying to actually create. So the vision board, it's not like, okay, I put this together and magically this is going to happen and take action. But it also gives you something to look back on and say, wow, we did it. We was able to accomplish this. That's how I see a vision board. I don't see it as I lay it out and and pray and don't do nothing and think it's gonna come to pass.
Yeah. So
You know,
basically, when you put your vision board together, you shoot for the stars, but you're going to hit the moon. But also on the same aspect of that you turn around and you're holding your own self accountable for the vision that you want. So if it doesn't happen, it's on you.
right. And we did. There's accountability definitely in that, because we sit down and we say, okay, this is the reason. This is you do your part, I do my part. We come together, and this is what's gonna happen. We're a team. We don't play the
Yeah.
same position in the team, but we together we're gonna make this happen, right? How I got to the vision board was I use a mapping all the time. It's called Healthy Esteem,
Mhm.
and I use it to assess myself all the time. I use it to see where I need to grow. It's something that keeps you evolving. Um, and teach, and where's it a deficit? Where am I falling? Where in my life where I'm seeing a deficit in part of my growth? And so I use that as a template to go through and find out, where do I measure on this on and emotionally, financially, environmentally, all of these things that creates this it's spiritually, it's all of that. Where am I at? I'm always assessing where am I at in these areas, because if I have a deficit in one, it's going to affect the other parts.
Right.
And so how do I get, and that's not, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for progress.
That's say that again. What you
I'm
just
not
said.
looking for perfection because I'll be up out of here with the Lord, right? I'm looking for progress.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a good way of putting that. And even though the progress is slow, but you're making progress. And then some people who go out and do that, they get down on themselves and all of a sudden they give up because they
Yeah,
feel it's not going fast enough for them. But you got to realize you're the one that's setting the pace. So
exactly.
it's on you. So you get
Hmm.
frustrated at yourself, and that's where your team member comes into play at to keep you on the steady.
Yeah. So I did. I enjoyed it. The vision board is fun. I think it's a fun thing for couples to do
Mm-hmm.
because the power of one is amazing.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Oh, wow. See, so that's your
You
vision
get
board.
and
All right.
it can be made up any kind of way you want.
Okay, I like that. Now we're going off you being telling us about everything about marriage. So now I'm getting ready to tell on Martha. See, you see that look she giving me? Was he
Look,
ready to
tell on
speak
me.
out?
Tell, I'm an open book. Go ahead.
And she is. I went out there the other day to Diva Ranch. Um, Coco asked me to come out. The one thing she wanted me to come out for is I got this 20-foot big screen that she's gonna do the Super Bowl out there. She want to put hers up and mine up, see how we're gonna put them up and is it gonna work and all that. But she also told me that they having horse riding lessons out there. And she told me Martha's gonna be there. I was gonna call Martha and tell her I was gonna be there, but I didn't. I just showed up out there. And when I showed up, this girl's on a horse and she was riding like she been riding horses for at least 20 years. And so how long you been riding?
Okay.
That day? Seriously?
Seriously, I don't ride no, I was literally like scared at first, but I ain't gonna lie. His name is Andrew Lucky.
Lucky,
He
yeah.
was the instructor, and oh my God, he is really good. Like I'm telling you, when I got there, I had anxiety. I was like, crap, I'm not, that I mean, riding a horse, can think of all the catastrophic things that can happen. Like I'm gonna fall off, he gonna buck, and I'm gonna be the one on the ground, and I ain't gonna recover, and that's gonna mess me up, and you know, I mean, I had these thoughts, right? But when I got there and saw all of those horses, I really was like, oh my God, they're huge. And am I really gonna ride that? But Deborah, she helped me out. She was like, come over here, and she kind of helped me out. And Lucky, he was like, come on, I want you guys. He instructed us. He said, if you listen to me, things will be good. And when you have a person instructing you, you do have to listen in order for the, you have a
Yeah.
teacher, you listen to him. He did this, right? But he's instructing us to do it, but he's getting us comfortable. He didn't just put us on a horse. He said, okay, we rubbing them, getting familiar with the horse, not taking them and walking them so you get used to them. And it was kind of cool. I walked, with Baby Boy is one of his horses, and that's the one I got familiar with first. And I started walking them around, rubbing them, and got familiar with him where I'm not scared to that he's gonna hurt me. I thought that was a very good skill set. He got a gift to actually uh teach people how to ride. I've never experienced that before. And so I was a little scared that I was gonna freak out and not be and all the instructions go out the window. That's what I was afraid of, right? He
No,
was like, go left, go right,
no, hold up, hold up.
back.
I'm gonna interrupt you right here. The funny part of that was I'm sitting there, I'm taking pictures. Every time I take a picture,
I was posing.
Martha was posing. I said,
I was
I need
like,
to take a natural picture. Be still. But you should have seen a look on her face when Lucky switched horses on her. Remember that? That look on your face, you want me to ride? I don't know this one. You know,
oh,
look,
you talking about Big Easy?
yeah.
Big Easy was fun, actually. And you know what?
Yeah,
He picked up the pace on me, and I mean, really
yeah,
like, and I knew to pull back, but I didn't want to because I was like, I want to see what happened. He was so cool and calm that I was okay, and I didn't. I was happy because I had enough, I was comfortable enough to move the strings the right way and
yeah,
that type of thing. He was teaching all of that. So, and he didn't, if he wasn't confident that you couldn't ride, he didn't, I don't think he would have let me roll the horse.
yeah,
He really mentioned that. He really was like, since she is comfortable, let her go.
yeah.
And so I felt really safe. And he created the atmosphere for me. So
Especially,
that was the
especially,
first time. It was fun. I loved it. Love it. I love it.
yeah, especially when they said, "All right, take them out on the streets." Oh, the look on their face was
I
priceless
was like,
out there
you
on
gonna
the
let me
street.
take him out on the street? Oh, okay. It's like, you sure?
Now, the
It
funniest
was
part,
so much fun.
I know, but the funniest part, out the corner of my eye, when y'all were coming back, here come Baby D walking the horse. Did you see that part when Deborah
That
was
horse
walking the
wouldn't
horse in?
cooperate.
Huh?
He wouldn't cooperate.
I look up and Baby
He
D,
wouldn't cooperate. He wouldn't
of course,
cooperate.
walk. And Coco looked at me and said, "Ron, you see that? Yeah, I see that. Baby D done did something.
No, it was the horse.
It was a
I'm
horse."
on I'm on her side. It was the horse.
All right.
He didn't want to cooperate.
And then I gave Martha a couple of days before I called her. And I said, "Are you sore?" She said, "From what? Riding the horse?" Martha said, "I wasn't sore at all."
I wasn't. I wasn't so at all. I was shocked.
Okay. All right. Well, Martha, look at us going over time.
Going over again.
But that's all right. I don't mind. I mean, we're getting some things out and talking about the real Martha. One other point I want to bring up is this is what you do for a living. And when your family get together, like you said, you hear people talking, it's hard for you to hold back, not to put the working hat on and say, well, you know what you need to do. Then you got to back up and say, I'm at a family function. I can't analyze everybody.
Right. Because you gotta, yeah, I've learned to put it on restraining order.
Restraining orders.
No, I did. I've learned to like take a step back. I did, unless they act, you know. And sometimes it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But I learned it not to perfection, but I have made tremendous progress
I do
of just
I,
enjoying myself when I'm being around.
I do know you made you said something that remind me of social skill class. Always bringing this up. It's good for everybody to go to social skill class. One thing he brought up that I always remember is that when somebody talks to you, you will automatically react on pure emotions. When he said, never react, take your time out and then respond.
Hmm.
And that's basically what you tell them, quit overreacting because you're reacting off emotions without really thinking about what you're getting ready to say because words hurt.
Yeah. And that's one thing we can control is our response.
Yeah. Yeah. But some people fly off the handle anyway, because that's just them. That's just their nature. And it's hard to slow them down to change their lifestyle for that right there.
Right, right.
But I found out also in social skill class, what they did is they recorded people and showed it to us on how they act. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of people realize I act like that. I did that. Sometimes
Right. They don't see themselves
yeah,
like
they have to see
how
it to
they, yeah.
believe it. You could tell them till you're blue in the face, but once they see it themselves, they
Oh my
understand.
God, it's
And and and,
yeah.
and then as he said, then the healing process take place. You understood what you did. you got to heal yourself from stop doing that.
Yeah,
And
because if you don't think you have a problem, you'll never feel you have anything to work on.
yeah, the thing I always say, the problem is not the problem is your attitude about the problem.
I like that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and that's what it is. And the other thing is I was always told you're never gonna hit the stars, but always shoot for the stars. And your main goal is the moon you're going to hit.
Yeah,
So
because you putting your all, you bringing your best foot forward.
exactly. And it does not hurt to reach for something that you in your mind you want to reach. But in reality, you probably won't. But then, oh, I hit this goal right here. I could
But
go.
celebrate along the way.
There you go. There you go.
That's how you do it.
Never give up. No matter what it is, never get up. Keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, keep on pushing forward.
Now, this is Black History Week. So what do you plan? Month. I did bring out how Black history originated. Um, it was this gentleman that it started off at Negro Week. And it started in, if I'm right, 1926. And college campuses got a hold of this later on in the 60s and 70s. And they're the ones that made it the Negro Month, African American Month. And Gerald Ford was the first president that turned around and designated February of African History Month. So somebody asked, why did they pick February? The shortest month out of the year, the coldest. Why they pick that? Well, the reason behind that, it was Abraham Lincoln's and Frederick Douglass' birthday. And that's the reason why they picked February. So
Hmm.
that was the whys they wanted to know. And I try to explain this is the reason why. But then again, some people say, I don't believe that. Okay, believe what you want to believe. I'm just reporting the facts. What did Dradnick always say? Just the facts, baby, just the facts. And those are the facts. So what is your thoughts about African American History Month?
I don't have a month. I got it all year.
Thank you. That is a good answer. That's a good answer.
You can. I don't limit myself to a month. I got all year.
There you go. That's the same thing I said. I think, celebrated every 24 hours a day, 7 days.
24 hours a day. You celebrate it 24 hours a day just by being kind to someone.
Yeah, and if it's the month that a lot of people recognize as being the month, go all out this month on the things you're gonna do. Go to your roots, find out where you came from, find out slavery is for real. They're trying to stop books saying that it was like it didn't happen, and we know it did. Find out what's really going on in your community. Because there's a lot going on in the Black community in all cities. There's history there. Let's talk about it. Find out where we were at and where we at right now, and what can we do to make it better.
Hmm.
So those are my thoughts.
Preach.
Oh boy, you something else, Martha. You something else. I'm gonna mess with you some more because it's fun messing with you. And if people don't know it, I give Martha a hard time along with Coco, Debbie, Sandra. If you notice, I'm naming off women, but also I give Glenn, Joseph Lee, Brad. I give them all a hard time because I'm an equal opportunity person.
And I appreciate you having me on your radio station.
And I appreciate you coming on board again and preaching to us, telling you. And I love the concept on how you have them both fill out something separate from each other. And when you get it in, you can see it. It was one lawyer years ago saying the key in divorce is not to divorce, but you listen to his side and her side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yep.
So
That's true.
yeah. All right, Martha, we appreciate it. I know you got to get going and things to do. The weekend's coming up, and you about to have some
Yes.
fun and get into trouble. I'm sorry, get out of trouble, whatever it is.
Yes, the weekend. I
So
got that Friday feeling.
that's the Friday TGIF.
Got that Friday feeling.
All right, Martha, we
All
appreciate
right,
you
you have a
coming
wonderful
aboard.
weekend.
All right, you take care, and we'll
All
talk to
right.
you later. All right,
Okay.
okay, bye.